Oh no.
Okay, let's chat for a minute about splits. I think pretty much every climber on Earth has had one at some point, and some climbers, like myself, are plagued with them through the winter. I know some climbers also get them really badly in the summer when their skin is soft, but for me, in the winter is the worst when my skin is cold and dry and I go out climbing. Now, a split is just as it sounds. It's basically a cut across normally your fingertip, and it can end a climbing trip, or it can be the difference between sending or not sending. So what I'm going to try to talk with you guys about today is how I prevent splits, and I do my best to keep them from coming back. So inside of my skin kit, I have got emery board, pretty basic, basically just like sandpaper, good for filing down calluses and making your skin even. I've got some tape for taping up to prevent splits and take care of the skin. Also can be used for finger injury type stuff. Got super glue, which I mostly use to actually just keep the tape really adhered to itself and keep the tape on my skin. But I also know that some people use super glue to actually adhere the skin together. I wouldn't recommend that, but that is something that people do. And last but not least, and probably most, is the Climb-On bar. I basically use this to repair my skin. I put it on right after I get a split at the crag, and then for my night treatment, I'll have the Climb-On as well and during the day, just to keep my skin supple and keep it from being like brittle and wanting to rip. Oh, and one more special thing is this little piece of a clothespin. I know this doesn't make any sense now, but it will later on, I promise. Okay, so let's take this skincare kit. I'm gonna go home, wash up my wounds, and see what I can do to fix what I've done.
Okay, so first things first, you need to come home and as soon as you possibly can, use some high quality soap and really get into the split or get into the cut and clean it out the best you can. Take your time and lather up some soap and really like go at it. Make sure that it gets clean, you get all the dirt or sweat out of it, and start from a clean slate that way. So the basic idea behind this taping method is that we want to tape the skin as lengthened as we possibly can. So what ends up happening a lot of the time is that we tape up our skin, we put the right things on it, and then at night or throughout the day, naturally, unless you walk around like this all the time, we tend to let our hands curl up like this, right? Especially when we're sleeping. You might even sleep with your hands in a fist. So what happens then is that the skin tends to grow back and tends to heal when it's shortened like this, okay? And then right away, right when we start climbing again and that skin gets lengthened, especially in the case that we're grabbing like a little crimp or really pulling hard with the tips of our fingers, suddenly this area of skin gets lengthened and then the split that was healing all of a sudden just ruptures immediately right away. So with this taping method, what we're gonna do while we're not climbing is we're basically gonna try and tape the finger back like this so that the skin heals in such a way that it basically heals while it's lengthened, and so then the following day it doesn't have the same propensity to just open back up right away as soon as we start climbing. To get this thing started, go ahead and grab your skin kit, and the two items that you're going to need right away are your tape, and for me I use a broken clothespin, but I've also seen people use popsicle sticks or even a pencil or a Q-tip if you're in a pinch. But for me, what tends to work best is this little piece of a clothespin like this. Now, the idea is that what we're gonna do is we're basically gonna tape this rigid item, whatever it is, whatever you choose, to the back of your finger that's split. And the idea there is we're just gonna prevent that finger from closing, either on purpose or not on purpose. So like, this is especially helpful for the middle of the night, but it also works during the day. The two things to keep in mind when you're taping the clothespin or the popsicle stick to the back of your finger is that you don't want it to be too tight, and you actually do not want to cover the actual split quite yet. You mainly just want to tape it like in two spots at the tip of your finger and like right here around the second knuckle. So I just take a thin piece of tape. Again, you really don't need much. And you don't want it to be too tight. Notice how I'm not actually covering the wound yet. So I've got the tip of my finger there. That's perfect. And then with the rest, I'm just gonna wrap it here around the second knuckle. So now I can use my finger like if I've got to type or I've got to do rest day stuff or I've got to pick my nose or whatever, I can still do it, but the main thing is that this area here, the spot between the first and second pad, I cannot bend that. So that is gonna remain open no matter what. Now that we've got the finger all nice and splinted, you can see here that the first and second digit don't really move. I can move the third digit, but not this guy. And that's perfect. I don't want it to be too tight. I don't want it to totally strangle my finger, but I do want to keep this split from opening and closing. I want to keep it static as best I can. Okay, so now that we got that sorted out, we're gonna go ahead and grab from our skin kit our skin healing balm or ointment or whatever is yours of choice. For me, this is Climb On. I've used this for probably a decade now, and it's worked the best for me and for healing my skin. So, bust that open, however the application is, but basically take a totally liberal amount. I normally just kind of scrape at it with my fingernail and then just apply it like this to the cut and make sure you get plenty in there. Like have it like kind of, you know, have it be an amount so much that it maybe seems a bit excessive. Okay, so the reason why before I didn't have you guys put the tape over the split is because if you're gonna have a rest day or a couple of rest days, I find that if you put the splint on nicely with tape, then you can actually leave it there for a while, like at least a day or sometimes 36 hours. You can shower with it and whatever, and just keep it there. And then what you can do is you can continuously redress the split without having to take on and off the splint every single time. And I will admit that if your finger is splinted like this for too long, it's gonna start to feel like a little bit weird, like, you know, the way that your ankle might feel if it was in a cast. But for a day or for a long night or something like that, I really don't think you'll even notice. So, you got the splint, you've got your ointment or your balm of choice smothering the wound. And now next thing is you're gonna just take one of these good old-fashioned Band-Aids. For me, I've got Star Wars Rogue One Band-Aids because that's the only way. And then you're just gonna apply the Band-Aid really loosely. You wanna allow for some bit of air exchange in there. And yeah, there you have it. Basically the Band-Aid's nice and loose, so there's a little bit of air moving through there. But then, like I said, the splint is on kind of separately. So if you want to remove the Band-Aid and reapply your ointment or your balm, you can do that without having to redo the splint every single time like this. Okay guys, well there you have it. I have to admit, honestly, I've been using this method for many seasons now, and the more I use it, the fewer splits I get coming back next season and so on. I really think that healing the skin in that lengthened state just prevents it from breaking open again in the future. So I really hope that it does the same for you. I can say that this has completely revolutionized my way of looking at splits and my way of dreading the upcoming winter and kind of going through split after split after split while on climbing trips. So I hope it does the same for you. You guys rule. Leave any questions or comments in the comments below, and I will see you out there, split free, smile ear to ear, sending your proj.